Hi, I'm Lina Acosta Sandal, and I am the owner and founder of Stop Parenting Alone. I have been asked by a lot of parents in the last couple of weeks about how to speak on race to our children, and our children in multiple age groups. And it's interesting that that has come up, with the events in Charlottesville and the events in our country where we have become very polarized and very divided, that parents then wonder, now what? Now what do I tell my children? So first, the first thing that I want to say is that there has been a lot of talk out there about how we are not born hating. And that's true. We are not born hating. However, we are born with the predisposition to categorize, and put things into us and them. Meaning that our brain likes to put things in certain buckets, and we have to be very, very mindful when it comes to what buckets our children are using. In these 2 weeks, there's lots of stuff out there, and I was listening to the Sam Shepard show on NPR, and the psychologist from a university in Texas, and I apologize for forgetting her name, was talking about her research and her research on race. And this is a great example of what I'm talking about. These children were categorizing the African American community as bad because they lived in poor neighborhoods, and the white people as good because they lived in nice, wealthy neighborhoods. Now, when these children were asked if anybody had told them this, or if anybody had expressed to them that this was the truth, the children said, no, it just is. So be mindful of this idea that children don't hurt or don't hate. They don't, but they do categorize. So you as a parent have to be the voice of how they're going to categorize these others, these different types of people that have darker skin or a different shape eye or a different type of hair. Your little people, whether they're 4, whether they're 6, whether they're 10, whether they're 15, they're going to make up their own mind, and they're going to categorize these things as either good, bad, or whatever it is that you're not telling them. So it's important that when we think about race, that we have to speak to our children about our values and our beliefs around what we think about the shape, hair, or color of somebody else's skin. And be very specific, because children are concrete, especially children under the age of 8. And not getting stuck in us and them is a muscle that you must build. So number 2 that parents have to do is you have to also deal with your own racism and your implicit bias. And I did say racism. It's a hot word. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but just even that, the fact that we don't like to talk about it, the fact that we like to ignore it, makes it so that we really need to take a look at it. I've heard white parents and also Latinos like myself who pass as white and take the benefits of the privilege that we have because we pass for white. We're the only ones that wonder whether or not we need to give our children an opinion about race, or we need to talk about race with them. Parents of color and African American families, they have to talk about their children about race and the differences, because for them it's about safety. So just the fact that you are wondering whether or not you should have this discussion with your children is an example of the privilege that you hold in our community, because people of color and do not have that benefit. And it's important as parents to know that we cannot teach and we cannot pass what we haven't worked on for ourselves. And implicit bias is real. And The best definition of implicit bias that I heard was from the founder of Be More America. That's a great organization that's really working on this topic. And he said that implicit bias is an ingrained thought. And popular culture and the day-to-day and the history of our country has made it so white is powerful. And for all of us, we have to wonder about that, including me. I have curly hair. I blow it dry straight. Why? I have to wonder about that. So we must be willing to work on ourselves and what we think about ourselves. And finally, be age appropriate when you speak to your children. For the little ones between 0 and 5 is about exposure. It's about finding friends. It's about books. It's about stories. It's about exposing them continually to different types of people, cultures, and activities, and telling them about your values and what you believe. For the 5 to 11 year olds, ask questions, answer their questions, and bring it back to their day-to-day. When have they seen someone judge somebody else because they look different or because of the color of their skin? For the 12-year-olds and up, these are the children that you just have a straight up, frank discussion with. They can hear about Charlottesville. They can process what it means that our country was built on slavery, and wonder with them, wonder with teenagers, wonder what they think, wonder what they feel, and just keep talking about it. Because the one thing that I want everybody to remember is that race gets categorized a lot organically and reactively in our brain between us and them. We are predisposed to put ourselves into tribes, and to not do that, to not have this ingrained thought to get in the way of your values, you must practice speaking and listening. And last, this is a very long video and I apologize about this. Make sure that when someone else tells you how they feel, like the African American community is telling us how they feel, we don't get to tell them, no, you're wrong. And teach that to your children.